He was sitting under a corner streetlight in a dirty red suit, smoking a pipe that turned his beard more ashy color than the white snow that was falling on top of him. Alongside him was a large sack that appeared to be full of items of all kinds and a cardboard sign scrawled with a black marker. It was a sign that actually attracted my attention in the first place. Free memories. I waited for the crosswalk to change colors, then walked across to where he sat, offering him $1 in exchange for one of his goods. It smelled of sewage and booze. The man's eyes widened in surprise as he looked up at me and asked, You can see me?" "I can see that you're the most pathetic excuse for Santa Claus I've ever seen," I told him and added, "Here's a couple more bucks so you can get a good night's sleep." His eyes filled with tears as he took the money. "Let me give you something in return," the man said as he reached into his sack. "Oh, I couldn't possibly." But already he had dug out a bright red fire engine and passed it to me. As I touched the wheels and marveled at the shiny red paint, I felt a flurry of emotions hit me. I was sitting under a Christmas tree, opening presents. My mother was laughing at the doorway, taking a picture of me and my 2 older brothers. The wrapping paper fell away, and I watched in the flickering memory as my younger self played with the same fire engine on the carpet in front of the fireplace. It was like I was there. I could see my mother smile, I could smell breakfast cooking in the kitchen. Most of all, I could feel the warmth and joy that I hadn't felt since I was a little boy. It was such a jarring experience that I dropped the toy instinctively and took a few steps back from the old man. "What's that? Who are you?" I stammered. The man cocked his head to one side and gave me an impish smile before picking up the toy fire engine and asking, "Who do you think I am?" I bit my lip, squinting my eyes and muttering, "This is some kind of trick, right? Am I being punked?" The bearded man looked down at the ground sadly, perhaps disappointed that I didn't give him the answer he had expected. I took a step toward him again and glanced inside the large sack that sat beside him, even more confused to find that the seemingly full bag looked entirely empty. Are you the real Santa Claus?" I asked him slowly, still not even believing those words were coming out of my mouth. Then he said something that gave me pause. "I used to be." I slipped my hands in my pockets and muttered, "Well, I hate to say it, but you really let yourself go." The man made this half-hearted laugh. It was like a mixture between a jolly old elf and an old hag. "You sound sick," I pointed out, and then shivered a little myself and added, You probably shouldn't be out here in the cold like this. Hey, let me take you to a shelter, old man." He shook his head and refused to budge. "Wouldn't help me," he said finally. "I can't just leave you here," I said, pulling him up. Another man walked by me, almost colliding into us as I tried to convince this weird man to get out of the snow. "Hey, watch where you're going," the man said gruffly as he shoved past me. I mumbled an apology and then looked towards the man in the Santa Claus suit. A few realizations were clicking into place. "No one else can see you," I said. He said nothing as I looked around the street, watching as people passed me, and occasionally gave me odd looks. I turned back to the old man, trying to figure out if I was losing my mind. This can't be real. "I won't try to convince you otherwise, son. I'm just glad that you noticed me. Thank you for that," he replied humbly. I nodded and I started to walk away. But a nagging feeling wouldn't let me go farther than a few feet. I turned around quickly and glared suspiciously at him. "Why?" His eyes twinkled at me. I'm sorry, what do you mean? You just showed me something miraculous, something I can't even explain, and you won't even bother to defend your story. Tell me why. He gave me another look of surprise, but it was also mixed with more sadness. I can certainly try, but it's a long story. It does not have a happy ending. I looked about and spotted a park bench sitting under a large birch tree, something that could provide us cover from the snow and a little privacy. I pointed towards it and told him, I got time. The old man stood up, heaving a weary sigh, and then followed me over to the secluded spot. Once we were settled, I crossed my arms and waited. Well, what would you like to know? I laughed, still trying to wrap my head around this. Well, for starters, what's your name? I mean, your real name, I mean. It's Chris, he told me with a smile. I sighed. You can't really expect me to believe that. You must have believed in something. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here now. Would we, Kyle? I felt a lump in my throat. What sort of game was he playing at? I mean, of course I want to believe. Have you seen the news lately? Wars, genocides, school shootings. The world could use a little magic. He nodded sadly. You're right. You think the world used to have a lot more joy in it, didn't you? Exactly. I mean, when I was a kid, everything was just... It was a simpler time. You know, no bills to pay, no job to go to, no danger lurking, no cause for concern. And Christmas was just... It was everything to me. So when did that change? The question surprised me. It was almost like an accusation. I'm not sure I know what you mean, I told him. Of course you do. You just want to deny it. It's a shame, really. I thought you might be different from the rest. I guess that's more false hope. He stood up and he grabbed his bag and took a look of frustration and disappointment crossing his face. Now hold on a second. Don't act like you know anything about me, I argued. I'm sorry, Kyle. I thought I could get you to see, he muttered, as he began to leave. It was almost at the edge of the park when I gritted my teeth and cursed to myself. Oh, prove it then! The old man stopped in his tracks. I was convinced I was calling his bluff. Prove to me that you're Santa Claus. Then I'll listen to the rest of your sorry story. He slowly turned around and then he walked back to me. Then he reached into his bag and he pulled out a small hand-sewn plush penguin. The air around us suddenly felt colder. Where did you get that? He placed it back in the bag and said softly, Same place I found your fire engine, Kyle. He reached over and he touched my chest, right above my heart. I felt another rush of emotions wash over me. I was sitting in a hospital. A familiar sound of a heart monitor beeped as I looked in at all the sights that fluttered before me. I saw balloons and flowers. I heard the gentle noise of Christmas carols. And I focused on my little girl. My little Maria. Her blue eyes opened slowly as I held back tears, and she was struggling to breathe, to even touch my hand. I reached to grab at it and frantically watched as she started to fade away. Replaced instead by the dull park I was standing in. The old man gave me a sad, knowing look. Felt like you were there, didn't it? Tears welled up in my eyes. I could reach out and touch her. It wasn't a feeling. It was real. I realized, marveling at its powers. As much as it felt that way, Kyle, it was just a memory, he told me softly as he sat back down. But I don't understand. What did you show me that for? You said you wanted proof. Yes, I believe you now. But I have so many questions. This is a miracle, like a superpower. More of a curse than a blessing, I'm afraid. And I can tell you just by the expression on your face why that is. What do you mean? Think about the 2 memories that I showed you today. One from your childhood. One from when you lost your child. Which memory was stronger? I thought about it for a moment. Maria, definitely. And that's how the world is. We may need a little joy in this world, Kyle, but cruelty will always find a way to snuff it out. I bit my lip and I looked at his tattered clothes and his dirty appearance. So that's why no one can see you. No one believes in what you represent anymore. It's worse than that, I'm afraid. Some may believe, but they have experienced too much tragedy in their lives. And you were lucky tonight. Your light was almost fading. So you're just giving up then? Not going to bring joy to the world? He gave me another hearty laugh. I've never been the one to do that. I'm merely a manifestation of the spirit behind all that. But think about it, Kyle. When you were a child, do you believe there weren't bad things happening in the world? Well, no. Bad news has been around since Adam and Eve. And a few moments ago, you seemed to think that time was magical in your life. Do you know why? I thought about it hard. Because I hadn't experienced anything tragic in my life yet, I realized. It's the same with every human on this planet. And we're born, we're innocent. We have hope, we have joy, love for the world around us. And then we grow. The world snuffs out any sense of wonder. That's why parents tell their children the stories of people like me. Try and protect them for as long as possible. Protect them from the wicked world that they live in. But it doesn't do any good. Eventually, sometimes even at a very young age, the truth takes over inside their heart. There isn't any magic anymore. I felt a cold sweat run up and down my back as he explained it, so matter-of-factly. Well, there must be a way to change that, to make the spirit of Christmas mean something again, I argued. People try. They cling to any hope that they have, that their lives have meaning. They make up stories and fairy tales to make themselves feel better. When they find out what the truth is, though, and when they find out what I really represent. What do you mean? But you said you're a manifestation of the joy in children's hearts. Did I say that? I paused for a moment, trying to understand what he was getting at. And then, if you aren't the force behind that joy, what are you? I'm afraid this is the part of the story you will not like. The very reason that I exist, that joy or belief or faith even exists, is all stemmed from one central part of the human psyche. Your inability to fool yourself into believing that your existence matters. You lied to yourself for centuries. I didn't have a way of responding to that, so the aged man kept talking. As we grow older, we realize this grim reality all too soon. Cruel world chokes out any chance that joy and hope can survive, because the truth is that it doesn't exist. Everything, every part of your history is based on a lie. And this isn't for your detriment. And in fact, such lies keep your species alive. You tell yourself that What you're doing will matter, but in the long and dark history of man, has anything you ever done extended your life? Protected those you care about? This is why you lie. This is why I exist. It's a vicious cycle. You have no one to blame but yourself. I clenched my fist. I wanted to lash out at him, but I wasn't certain it would do much good. Even now you're doubting yourself, wondering if you can make a difference, but you can't. You won't. Humanity survives based on lies, and you will lie to yourself and convince yourself that you can change this. The false belief you've clung to for generations can somehow transform and become a reality. I felt a lump in my throat. Why did you choose me? I asked him. The man in the red suit laughed. It was no longer jolly, but was now filled with contempt. I was here because somewhere inside of you, that joy still has a spark. That lie is still a part of your spirit. It was a lingering memory of a past you thought was better. Another lie that kept you alive this long. But now I can't help but to wonder, with the truth taking root in your heart, if this will be the last time we ever speak. He admitted. And I could already see that he was starting to fade away. Wait, don't go, not yet, I begged him. I reached for his bag. He didn't stop me. In fact, he let me reach in and take out one final gift. It looked like a piece of rope. What's this? I asked. I didn't feel anything when I touched the cord. It was cold and distant, like there wasn't anything tethering it to the world. The future. But how you use it will be up to you. He responded. In my mind's eye, I saw myself taking the rope and going home alone. Taking the rope and stringing it up above my rafters near the fireplace and standing atop a chair and taking my own life. I could even feel the life straining from my body as I hung there, the rope tightening around my neck until nothing was left. In another memory, I took the rope. I found a young puppy wandering the streets, whimpering and wounded. Cruelties of the world pressing down hard on it, and I took that rope and used it as a leash for the pup, guiding it home as a gift to myself. Which way will you go? The aged man asked with a smile. I knew he didn't intend for me to give him an answer. He gave me a smile, and he said, Merry Christmas. And then he walked away. Hey there, kids. Thank you so much for listening to tonight's story, and I wanted to tell you thank you, for listening to me at all. I am actually coming up on doing this for 10 whole years. Come January 4th, I will have been doing YouTube for 10 years. So that's a hell of a thing, man. And honestly, it means nothing without all of you. So thank you for that. Thank you for listening on YouTube or on the podcast. I also want to give a very big thank you shout out to all of you guys out there on Patreon. If you guys want to check out patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta, you're able to support the show, support me, support my cats, support, being cool folks out there, like people like these. Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Mr. Thud, Ken Lando Higuchi, Chompski, Bobby Karman, Nico Kaeo, Tristain Pelton, Chance Burnett, Diana Kraus, Raven Hart, 1-800-Nightmare, King Hades F13, Unknown Nobody, Joshua Mcmeekin, Michael Scharbrough, Kazan, ThisIsMyRealNameNoShit, Jason VB Wilson, InfernalOne, Lilwulfgaming, JimboTheHutt, Caspian, Jordan Niels, Hades Nephew, Jordan Wayne Deckard, Bradley Leipe, and Charron, AcidSystem, Mike Bullock, Prozac and Pancake Appreciation Society, Brian Arce, Cryptic Nightmares, Brianna Wright, Someone You Love, S-Man, Kiri the Sloth, Thomas Burgett, Liam Newman, Sky Harbor, Caleb Dougal, Nina Smith, Rafael Rodriguez, The Ginger Bros, Aaron Stormcrow, Daniel Polson, and Corey Kenshin. Thank you guys so much for your support on Patreon. I really can't thank you enough. And everybody who's down there in the description, thank you guys so much as well. And everybody who's not on either of those tiers, who just have $1 on Patreon, I can't thank you guys for making these past 10 years incredible. This entire time I've ever spent on YouTube, on podcasting, everything amazing. And all of you who are at home listening, Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you all have a wonderful, happy holidays and sweet dreams.